Thank you very much for the nice introduction. I need to. I'm very much looking forward to closing your wonderful conference with this last keynote, Designing for the Future, and to hopefully show you a little bit how design can contribute to the better of all the challenges that we are facing at the moment. Snohetta is a mountain, and since over 30 years we have borrowed our name from this mountain, and we say Snohetta place is a place where nobody is from, but everyone can go to. It started with a workshop between landscape architects and architects, and over the 30 years of growth and development, we have now colleagues all over the world within architecture, landscape architecture, interior, brand design, and product design, and arts. This is our true belief that with all this kind of interdisciplinary competence, we need to tackle all the challenges that we are facing at the moment and in the past and future. So what we do every year, all the colleagues from all over the world, we gather at the mountain Snohetta. We do the mountain tour together, and also to experience this wondrous landscape, but also to remind ourselves of the source we are coming from, and also to together discuss our common future. The inception of Snohetta in 1989 was very much inspired by the UN Development Report, Our Common Future, where for the first time, and this commission was led by our former Prime Minister Gro Harlem Brundtland of Norway, for the first time the term sustainable development was mentioned, that one generation can develop but not compromise on behalf of the next generation. So this was a true foundation also for all our work, the three pillars of sustainability, the social, environmental, and economic sustainability, but no sustainability without social sustainability. And with this growth and global presence, we have now 9 studios all around the world. Oslo is the headquarters. That's where I am also working and have my daily work in life. But we have studios in New York, San Francisco, Innsbruck, Paris, Adelaide, Melbourne, Hong Kong, and Shenzhen. So with this kind of presence also comes responsibility that we are taking very seriously. Because with that impact and footprint we have, we also can make a huge difference within our disciplines. So when you look at our design, our portfolio, you will see that it's quite diverse, and it's not driven by any stylistic preference. It's rather a result of the thorough analysis of all the contextual framework, socially, environmentally, of course the site itself, but also the society, the context and within this analysis we try to find adequate response in terms of built environment. And you will also see that there's a kind of connotation that you could relate to Nordic values that are all related to accessibility, to democracy, and a kind of inclusivity. And I think this is something that we very actively strive for and that we try to negotiate in all our work. And this is also then embedded the way we work, the collective intuition. Our latest publication is all about the integration of disciplines, the generosity and the collective ownership that is embedded in the design process, but also then necessarily resulted in the built environment, and that architecture is always also a political domain. This is very much important. We are dealing with our earth. And it started with the Alexandria Library. I think it was to create this kind of generous public space that is still the largest reading room in the world. But it was also about, for us to understand, we really strive for that the worker get proper working conditions, that also the staff working at the library get kind of salaries at international level. So we really understood what is kind of a holistic perspective on sustainability. And the Oslo Opera is kind of a continuation of this thinking and our approach to sustainability, where it was primarily in the brief to develop a cultural monument, but our interpretation was to turn this into a proper social destination, a social monument, giving this as a gift back to the city, and also based on the Nordic understanding that landscape belongs to everyone. The right to roam means that everyone can put the tent independent in the landscape, independent from individual property rights. So this belongs to everyone. So with this kind of connotation that we try to transfer into the built environment of the opera, you intuitively understand this is a space that belongs to me. It's rather closer to a landscape space than an architectural space. And for me, it demonstrates its capacity at its best when you can have an open air concert on top of the building and at the same time an opera performance. And you can see here also over the years the fjord has been cleaned. This was also part of the urban development process where the opera was the first project as a catalyst of the transformation of a former harbor area. And this is now the urban plan. Should you come to Oslo, you will see how they embedded, used cultural building also as the catalyst for urban life and social values. This kind of continuation of thinking is also seen in our more recent portfolio. We got an assignment of the retrofit of the boulevard in Cannes, La Croisette, a 3-kilometer bay walk. And here it's really about, it has a 1960s state. And what we are trying to reconnect it to the city, increase biodiversity, and also decreasing all the commercial and limitation when it comes to accessibility. And also when it comes to the reconstruction of the Times Square, which is the world's most visited square in the world, 300,000 people a day, where it was mostly about to give this square back to the New Yorkers because it was more about tourism. So we have been working with this over many, many years. And it's not a very kind of prominent design. It's infrastructural layers. It's kind of to work with kind of different entrance situation, to work with the stormwater, but also giving this kind of social infrastructure, because this square is also kind of a public foyer for all the Broadway theaters in New York. So similar to the opera in Oslo, also you will be able to experience the opening of the Met Gala, or every 3 minutes before midnight, all the advertisement is turned into light art. So what we always do with our project, and that goes directly into our understanding of social and all the aspects of sustainability, try to do a post-occupancy study of all our work and let this kind of competence inform all the other works. Going back to our roots, so to say, to the region Dovre, where the mountain Snohetta is, just to showcase or show you that also a very, very small building can kind of demonstrate a public venue and accessibility. We were commissioned for the Reindeer Association Foundation to design a visitor pavilion, because in this region there is still the only population of wild reindeer in Moscow. So this was about creating a kind of enclosed environment to give people the possibility to observe this beautiful landscape. So we're always looking, as you can see here, as contextual archetypes references and borrowing kind of this language to create our designs, but also then the interior of the space that is more related to the body, the physics. And we are always testing our designs in our offices, where we have quite well-equipped workshops, and it's also about kind of picking the timber, then kind of following the process, and also here then the boat building company that was involved in the opera balcony balustrade then took it and created this kind of interior. You see, it's all about kind of hands-on, and this is our smallest building. It's only 90 square meters, and it's used for also educational purposes for the Reindeer Association. What we call is the keyless structures, so it's open 24/7 to anyone who wants to take the tour. So kind of you might understand a little bit, hopefully, where we come from when it comes to this kind of social sustainability understanding. But of course, this is very much to our heart, but since the last 15 years, of course, we also in terms of the responsibility the building industry and also the architects have, and when it comes to the environmental crisis we are facing. And I think this artist installation says it very well, Corbyn, politicians discussing global warming, and the waters is until here. So these are all facts that you might know, but in Norway we have in 2010, so it's been a while, we have together with partners of the building industry, a constructor, engineering company and Snohetta, we have founded the Powerhouse Alliance, and this means that we are creating future-proof buildings, and it's still the, I think, more strict definition worldwide, because we are designing buildings that produce more energy than they produce, but we are also accounting for all the embodied energy in the buildings when it comes to construction, operation, and demolition of the building. We are accounting for 6 years perspectives. And together with the Alliance, we have developed some buildings already. So it's actually not rocket science. It's that the operational energy demand and plus the embodied energy in the building has to be less than the energy, the production of energy that has to be produced on site according to our definition. And it also entails different design processes that are very interesting for us. And we also developed the guide for the Norwegian building industry or the full sector, how we together can tackle and reach the 1.5 Paris Agreement. So we have already realized four buildings, and what is interesting that the retrofit building scores at the highest when it comes to also especially for the embodied energy. We have also other projects in the pipeline, an energy center, which is very interesting, a hotel, and also some student housing. I'll just quickly run through you this retrofit building, and it's still the refurbished office building of around 5,000 square meter. It got BREEAM Outstanding, and I think it's still the first of a kind in the world. So again, these are the kind of ingredients that how the building looked before, quite generic office building of the 80s, but it actually was a listed building because at least the authorities said this is a typical building of this period. So we were kind of limited how to deal with the facade, so we replaced the aluminium facade with a wooden facade and reused it. It was dismantled and reused for interior design. This is how it kind of looks today, and we managed to reduce the energy consumption down to 90% of a conventional building. You see also what is always a challenge in this building is the kind of, you need access to the thermal mass and how you of the concrete slabs and how you balance this with the acoustic. But this is really about not kind of reinventing the wheel, it's really about using the competence you have and kind of putting it together in a different way. So really challenging all the different kind of pre-accepted solutions, because we could, for example, use an emergency stair as a ventilation shaft, and this requires also a very brave engineer. So together we work with a set of criteria that developed allowed us to develop this solution. This is a new building within the same Powerhouse Alliance. It's a new office building. It's in the north of Norway. So when we manage to build this building in this kind of more harsh climates, I think there is no excuse to do this in other parts of the world. So this is just a list what we work with. It also requires a kind of high competence on parametric design, because all the solutions you do in the design process that have a direct consequence on the energy concept and consumption. So you have to really quantify all the decisions you make in the design process. So it's a very interesting process also, because it requires a different holistic and interdisciplinary way of working. These are all kind of things that we looked at, how to utilize, for example, wind, and also when you work with the roof, how to orientate and to shape it in the best way so you can produce as much energy as possible, utilize the facade. This is how it looks today. it's still the northernmost energy positive building in the world. So also these kind of beat world records, and also you see here compared to Norwegian how this kind of, the yellow one is our project, how it scores. So I think what is also important, this is a little bit a very boring diagram, but when you look at material passport and embodied energy, what we also do that we account, for example, a window that has to be replaced, we account this kind of twice. And also when you look at what is the most important thing in a building, when you look at embodied energy, are the horizontal, the slabs, not necessarily the vertical construction. And also the PV, of course, takes some account, but it pays back. And so this building actually produces twice as much energy as it consumes, up to 400,000 kilowatt per year. I have to do it a little bit quick now, but as you can understand, this is all about material, material, material. That is why Snohetta is also quite engaged in material research. So we had, together with the Norwegian research body, we had a project on plastic, because there is kind of a bias that is all about virgin plastic. And plastic is, there's a reason why it is a kind of quite dominant material also in the building industry. It's a synthetic polymer, but it's light, it does not rot, it's kind of cheap, it has different colors, so it's quite a durable material, but it has, of course, a big impact when it comes to the climate situation that we are in. So we try together with, we always try to team up with partners in the building industry, here with the Norwegian fish farm, and we work with the waste product from the Norwegian fish industry and try to develop a chair. This is a relaunch of a Norwegian classic. So you see, it's all about kind of also to create these pilots. Or we are currently investigating a geomer concrete, because everyone knows that concrete is the most worst contributor to the CO2 emissions in the building industry. So we are trying to replace the Portland cement with the geopolymer cement, or like the mycelium product that we're working in with the Norwegian startup. This is a product that is grown out of fungi and waste material from the agriculture. And we kind of grow material that is 100% fire resistant, have fantastic acoustical qualities, and also like this kind of tile collection with the Italian company from e-waste. So what we pioneer, another one, this is kind of one step further, at least in Norway, is that we opened 2 weeks ago. It's Norway's first naturally climatized mixed-use building. It's 18 stories high, so it's also about to generate a new kind of neighborhood development, but it's for us a natural continuation of the work that we do with Powerhouse to take it a step further. This is a building that is mostly is residence and offices and some commercial functions, but it is about it has a triple zero ambition. No energy is used for cooling, heating, and ventilation. And also with the form-finding process, when you look at the geometry, that here it was about create a geometry that works with kind of wind pressure, so to create this pressure drop. And also then it's shaped accordingly to allow this kind of cooling and ventilation throughout the building. And also you see here the kind of fitting of the window, the construction side. A lot of wood is used in the interior also to work with the fantastic capacity this material has. I do this very quickly, but just to give you an idea also, when it comes to the residential part and the office part, normally you have a lot of ceiling height that is taken by the ventilation. When it comes to the neighborhood development, also the retrofit, the larger scale, we are very much looking into the repurposing of existing buildings. Like we are working with this former post office in Brussels, Centre Monet, 70,000 square meter building that we are turning into a mixed-use building and also creating a kind of a public venue here. So we are kind of taking actually away a story of the podium and then kind of increasing the public accessibility and have this kind of a green plaza overlooking the beautiful opera of Brussels. So also having brave clients like here that are really, by dismantling material, putting it back into a material bank and then making accessibility for the building construction industry. 2 more projects left. I'm doing this also very quickly, but just to understand, this is a project we have in Sweden. It's kind of, you see that's a former quarry, and it will be a home for more than 1,000 residential units. But here our client decided that they would start with the community building, the so-called lake house, that is kind of to set the tone for what will the neighborhood be. And this building contains all public functions like healthcare, kindergarten, co-working spaces. So they do it in the other way around. They just invest into the social realm, and then on the other hand, it will set the tone for the residential development. And let me please close my talk with the largest development that we have on the table at the moment. We are working with the first CO2 neutral neighborhood in the city of Milan. It's the transformation of the former slaughterhouse area. And it's about 300,000 square meters of construction. And it was also about keeping the beauty of this kind of industrial cathedrals, and by preserving 30,000 square meters of existing building structure. And we are also then kind of saving 4,000 cubic meter of concrete. So this project require a quite complex setup. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go through them all, but just to give you an idea that it's not only of one building scale, you can kind of scale it up, and it's much more interesting when you work on the community level, because then you can have a completely different impact. How you work with the landscape, how you program the ground floor, how here we actively work with landscape and nature, kind of increasing the climate and soil cleaning in the area. And also how you place the different functions so that you are creating a vivid neighborhood. So I think all these kind of, and of course measuring the embodied energy, and also thinking in energy systems, not only thinking building per building, but having kind of a new generation of heating and cooling that can have double functions, cooling at night and heating according to the different programs and the different buildings. So again, also using kind of research components like here, with the Polytechnic of Milan, how plants can purify air, have this kind of arenas also for education. And yeah, that was my contribution to the conference. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.